I am a professional shapeshifter. And by that I mean, I have been in a perpetual state of identity crisis since the dawn of my time. And because I'm not afraid to embarrass myself on the internet, today we will be going through my most iconic and most regrettable hair phases. And I promise you, I have many regrets. Starting off, we are going to be doing one of the first times I ever dyed my hair. This is not the first time. The first time I ever dyed my hair, I was in 4th grade and I went to the salon. I got little blue highlight streaks. I was really feeling like I was rocking the blueberry shortcake from the Strawberry Shortcake TV show vibe. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. Let me put on my bathing suit and go swimming. Within 2 hours of getting it done, it turned green. This is my second time I ever got my hair dyed, and everything at the top is my natural hair color. I am like dirty blonde, and as I've gotten older, it's become that like dirty mousy blonde that everyone argues like, is your hair blonde or is your hair brown? And no one seems to know, but as a hairstylist, I can tell you that I am a blonde. That's all of my natural hair color. Then we did the tips. I'm pretty sure we didn't even lighten my hair at this point. I think it was just applying the pink to it. Super age appropriate hair. I love it. I think this is a good like 8 out of 10. Would I do it again? Probably not, but for the age, I love it. This next photo is of me in high school. I think I was 16 in this photo. And for some time in high school, when I was really trying to be like ultra pretty, ultra preppy, you know what I mean? Like get the guy's attention here. This was my hair. I was really basic in this area and I was trying to conform. And I look at this photo and it just doesn't look like me, but I can acknowledge that I look really pretty. I like this hair color on me a lot. It's kind of giving Rapunzel. Hair length, also cute. I think I need a few layers or something. I would give this like a good 7 out of 10. Maybe down the line I would do it again, but it's just a little bit too overdone, and I like to be cool, quirky, and different. Okay, this next photo, I actually dyed my hair blue the day I went into lockdown in 2020. I remember my mom would not let me go to school, and so like any other 16-year-old, I went to Sally's Beauty and I bought some blue hair dye because I loved Nikki DeMar, and I was like, I'm gonna dye my hair blue. Haha, no school, 2 weeks off. This blue is stuck in my hair for 8 months. I could not get it out, and it faded terribly, and it stained my hands so badly. So at this point, I thought I hated blue hair. I will never dye my hair blue ever, ever, ever again. But then I started to love it too, because I was like, oh wait, I'm cool. But this was my first time I was like really being edgy. I give it a good 6 out of 10. This is the Kristen S rose gold like hair dye hairspray. When I was bored, I would go to the store, I'd whip this bad boy out, and I don't hear anybody talking about how good it smells. I would wear that as a perfume. I wish I could. It is so nostalgic, like the same nostalgia of Arctic Fox hair dye, when I just wanted something bored but I really didn't want too much of an attachment to it or something that would make a big mess. I would always reach for that. I would give this a good 4 out of 10. I do think the light blush pink is pretty, but it's very poorly done. I had that pink and then I had like a ton of other random colors in the in-between. This is my senior year of high school. So then I was like, I need to go back to my roots, my core. I'm so depressed. I need to reconnect with myself, love myself, and feel re-inspired again, so I'm going back to my natural hair color. And I hated it. It would always end up being this really warm brown, and it would fade to the point where people would think I was ginger, and I just don't like warm tones on me. And now that I'm a hairstylist, I know it's just because my previous hairstylist were filling my hair and adding those warm tones back in because my hair was so porous, it would just release the color, fading it back to the filler. I didn't know any of that at the time, and I just was like, I hate it, I'm so ugly, and it didn't make me feel any better. So, oh wait, that one I would give, I don't know, but I don't like brown hair on me. I genuinely think that brown hair is one of my least favorite hair colors to have. Honestly, I'd give this like a 4.2. I'm less than neutral about it. Now in between there and then, it was probably one of the worst summers of my life. It was the summer I graduated high school and the summer before going to college, and I just felt like that is what my world felt like. I was so unstable. I was trying to navigate my mental health. I just felt so out of control of my life. And changing my hair has always been something that I can control when my life feels so out of control. I was 18, I was an adult. I just kind of went crazy because I needed to feel like I had my grasp on something, even if it was my hair, because it just was the one thing that somewhat made me feel grounded in life. This is what I call my Draco Malfoy era. It was the day before my 18th birthday and a week before I moved to college. I got my first ever pixie cut and I bleached my entire head. I was also really experiencing with a lot of like my queerness. My senior year, I realized that I liked girls. And so, you know, realizing that I was a part of the queer community and accepting that part of myself at that time, was obsessed with Kristen Stewart and really leaning into this more like, I call this my frat boy era. Not because I was going to the frat houses a lot, like, which I was, but because I was like ultimate mask, lesbian frat boy, like, oh yeah, baby girl. I had a backwards hat on and I was always like, oh yeah, cringe to the core. To think that that's how the people in the beginning of my college experience met me. And it was a part of me, and I learned so much about myself during that time period. But this was my very uncomfortable experimental phase. It got worse, but this was the first one. I was really finding myself here. This was so important for me to do. So even though I don't think I would ever do this ever again, I would give this like a 7 out of 10 because this like signified a huge turning point in my life. And I feel like I am the way I am today because of this hair. There were a few other hair transformations in between what we're seeing now. Pretty much a whole semester of college. When I went home for that summer, I was also like tweaking out. I was going through it. I really wanted to dye my hair black, but everyone in my life was like, don't dye your hair black. You're too pale for that. That's gonna look so bad. Like, don't do it. And I went to the hairstylist and I told him, I said, can you get my hair as dark and as close to black as possible with it still being brown? And I also asked for bangs and a shag. And this is how I walked out of the salon. I sat in my car and I cried so badly. And I don't want to bash on other stylists, but genuinely, I don't understand what happened. 2 out of 10. I had that maybe for about 2 weeks and then I was like, it's too dark. So I went to Sally's and I got some lightener. I wanted to do some sort of little split dye moment. This was one of the first times I ever lightened my hair at home. So this was revolutionary. I had watched so much Brad Mondo in preparation, which it really didn't do anything. And I'm not gonna lie, I did a pretty good job. And I love a good split dye moment. So I would give this one a good like 7.2 out of 10. Would I do it again? Yes. Is it anything like my absolute favorite? No, but like it's up there. I like it. And I did have this for maybe like 3 weeks. And then before going back to college again, I was like, you know what? Let me lighten my entire head. I want to be platinum blonde. And so that's exactly what I did. Come on. Like I did that myself. There's some areas that still have some warmth and you know, she was probably a little crunchy, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. And with the bleached brow look, I could get back to this hair, and who knows, maybe I will in the next year or two. I will. I love this look. Honestly, I give this like a 9.5 out of 10. It eats every time. It makes me feel so confident. Love, 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 love. Okay, cue the gender crisis. At the time, I also was struggling so much with my appearance. I've always had a lot of self-confidence issues. It's something I'm really working on this year and I want to be better at, but at that time, when I tell you that I deeply hated myself, I did. I had kind of come to the realization or the acceptance that I wasn't pretty. So I was like, you know, instead of, you know, trying to be this pretty girl, let me try to be this more like masculine version of myself. Not that masculinity isn't pretty, but I was like, I don't feel like I have to try so hard if I lean into being more masculine. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's kind of what was going on in my head at this time. And so I, in my bathroom at home, went through with my scissors and I just started chopping off my hair because I was just feeling so restricted from it. And so then later on, I went to the salon and I got my mullet, which was so cool. When I styled it, I loved it. It was really great until I decided maybe a month in that I wanted to grow it out. So the actual cut, I would give like an 8 out of 10. Like it was really cool when it was fresh, when it was styled. But other than that, I gave it like, honestly, like a 3 out of 10. My hair is so fine that it would just sit so flat and it would stick out, and it just required so much more work than I actually anticipated. And as I grew it out, the grow out process was honestly one of the most difficult grow out processes I have ever had to deal with in my entire life of hair. Genuinely, I felt terrible. all the time. I was always wearing a hat. I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to be seen. Did not make me feel good about myself. And that's why I'm so like, a good haircut can change how you feel so drastically. And a bad haircut can also make you feel really terrible. Like, I just felt so disconnected from myself. I'd look in the mirror and I would be like, I don't even know who I'm looking at. I was just so confused. Stressful and scary as it was, I feel like it really did help me to discover what I like and what I don't like, and what feels right to me and what doesn't. Grow out process, negative 100,000 out of 10. I hope I never have to have a grow out process like that ever again. Genuinely, I should have shaved my head. Ugh. Finally, after like 6 months of misery, it started getting kind of cool. And this is when I started being like, okay, I can work with this. So I went back to my favorite color, which was that like really dusty lilac color. And this was cool. This is almost like Bixie vibes. Like, I was really leaning into the more alternative and artsy. If the hair was a little bit longer, I'd give it like a 9.5 out of 10. Because I wish the hair was longer, 8.7. Finally got to blue. And I was like, who am I? I had never felt myself as much. I have never felt so good in myself as I did when I had blue hair. Like, genuinely, I was like, I am hot fucking shit. I'm graduating college. The blue hair was so much fun. 10 out of 10. Would do again. Literally, look at my hair right now. It's so similar to that. Love, 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 love. I love feeling like Jinx. I love feeling like Coraline. I am a blue hair girl. And then I went through I went through a breakup, and I went through like all these changes in my life, and like every other girl, I said, fuck all of you, I'm dyeing my hair black. And I loved it. I had never had a hair color for as long as I had black hair. I think I had black hair for like a 1.5 years. And hopefully by now you can see how big of a deal that is. Like, that was massive. It was partially because every time I tried to change my hair, it wouldn't budge because it was permanent black from Sally's. It was just nice. I felt like I had a consistency in myself that I had never experienced before. From going like this for, you know, years, to just have something like stagnant, I think I needed that. It is also another one of my favorite hair colors. I even did a micro bang with it, which was really fun. The black hair, I give a 10 out of 10. Like, I love black hair on me. I think it's so fun to lean into that like high contrast. I'm not doing black hair right now because I just spent so much time to get away from it, but I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line and ever end up going back to black hair. Then in August, I was like, I'm done with the black hair. I miss my vivids. I want to start the journey of going from black hair to lighter. I desperately need a haircut. Let's just say that. She's a little dry. You know, when you're a hairstylist, you know what the rules are. So if you're like, I don't really care, that's on you. And that was how I felt. I was like, I'd rather fry my hair a little bit and do the process because I'm impatient, and I've always been impatient, and period. Then I went a few more other hair colors and landed on my teal. And I love my teal. I really do. I think it's so fun. I will say though, I want to get back to more of like my dusty blues, my dusty purples. I love a good neon moment, but kind of for the spring, that's the vibe I want to be going for. Getting a haircut next week. I will do a gentle color remover and see what I end up doing next, but all I know is it's time to change my hair, and of course I will be taking you guys with me, so stay tuned because that should be the next video going up. Anyway, I hope this video gives you a good impression of me and doesn't make you think that I'm unstable, because I'm so much more stable now than I've ever been. I've said that to my mom so many times in my life. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up because it helps my channel, and subscribe. And if you want to follow me on any other socials, you can find me at TikTok and Instagram at the only Grace to ever exist, because I am the only one. I love you. Mwah. Bye. That's a wrap.